2 weeks ago, found a 94 Discovery on eBay that I thought looked good. Thought it would be a good truck, looked like the money was right, no one was bidding on it, and ended up winning that bid with the minimum bid. And the truck was out in New Mexico, and shipping is crazy expensive right now. So I decided, what the heck, I got a long weekend coming up, I'll fly out there and drive it home. Somewhere outside of Roswell, New Mexico, where I flew into, and the gentleman that sold the truck met me there, towed it out there for me. And I am driving home my 1994 Discovery with 271,000 miles on the clock. It rattles, it squeaks, does everything you'd expect a 28-year-old truck to do. White Discovery, tan cloth seats, roof rack with a rooftop tent on it. New Mexico truck, so rust-free. Everything seems to be pretty original. Everything seems to be there. Needs some obvious brightening, if you will, but definitely a good little rig, and hopefully it makes it the 2,100 miles back. Stop in Amarillo tonight, Amarillo, Texas tonight, St. Louis, Missouri tomorrow, Pennsylvania on Saturday night, and then hopefully home for Easter brunch on Sunday morning. It is a cold morning in Amarillo, Texas, and I'm gonna try and run over to do a couple things before we take off. I'm gonna see if get some pictures of Cadillac Ranch as the sun's coming up right now, and then run over to Northern Tool and get a tool set because I didn't want to carry one. I had enough with just all the car parts for this thing. And let's see how she does on a nice cold start, first time. Oh, like butter. So I didn't want to check any bags, so I didn't carry any tools. So I stopped off at Northern here. Never seen one of these stores, it's awesome. Picked up a mechanic set. Always need an adjustable wrench, some gloves, and a tarp. And hopefully that's enough to get it home. Gotta run to a parts store, get some fluids. I think we should be good. First time I have a Rover that doesn't leave any spots, which rule of thumb is, that means it doesn't have anything left in it, but previous owner says it's not the case, she just doesn't leak. Friday morning, leaving Amarillo. Took a little longer than I wanted to, you know, going to Cadillac Ranch and then running some errands before I hit the road again. Yeah, headed to Stafford Air and Space Museum now. Truck was smelling, you had this like burnt wax kind of smell yesterday. Didn't really know what it was, didn't seem to be doing anything, so didn't really worry about it. Opened the hood to check the oil this morning, which was still looking good, and noticed that the insulator had been resting sitting on the plenum. So pulled that off, everything, all fluids are looking good, everything's looking good, truck's up to temp, topped off fuel as high as I could. The breather, I just checked it out, the breather line is basically cracked in half at the base of the filler neck, so you don't get quite to the click, it just kind of you start seeing a little trickling out there, and that's when you know when to stop. 75-degree day outside, engine's running nice and cool, air conditioning going, windows up. Really not a whole lot. It's left Weatherford, Oklahoma, where the Stafford Air and Space Museum was. Now I have the longest straight haul of this trip, which is to Valley Park, Missouri, which should be about 7 hours and 20 minutes, a little over 500 miles. We got our first bit of drama off the side of the road here in Oklahoma City. It looks like the alternator potentially went and then drained the battery down. It started having a little bit of a miss while I was going down the highway and started moving over to get off, and then it really started missing pretty good, and then the gauges started going nuts. Luckily pulled off in a great spot. Was worried about trying to find another alternator in Oklahoma, and luckily there's actually one in O'Reilly's down the road. So we're gonna get the truck towed over there. I'll get it swapped out in the parking lot, get a new battery in it, and hopefully that'll fix everything and be back on our way. Here, alternator went. Luckily, happened to be outside Oklahoma, so close enough to a place that could get me one same day. So also lucky. Happened to buy tools this morning, so I can take this thing apart, do it in the parking lot real quick, and hopefully be back on the road, because I'm a couple hours behind. All right, O'Reilly's coming through in the clutch. Managed to get alternator same day. Got the belt off this guy. Also have the belt in the back of the truck, so I might as well change that because the other one looked cracked. Got a new battery just because I drained this one fully. And yeah, let's get to it. Saturday morning, about 8:15 local time, just leaving Tulsa, Oklahoma. We had some setbacks yesterday, so we lost a couple hours to the alternator, and then I went looking for an air filter because the air filter in this thing was pretty shot. And so yeah, we ended up abandoning the hope for St. Louis and just kind of going into Tulsa, finding a hotel, and starting fresh this morning. Managed to find the air filter this morning. Managed to, and then changed out the idle air controller also because the truck was running a little rough at, around town. So we're back on the highway, headed for Clearfield, Pennsylvania, which was a stop for tonight. It's 1,100 miles away, all on this road, so that's easy. Going into the storm right now, but hopefully we will come out the other side just fine. Right, we are on the side of the road outside of Joplin, Missouri, and all of a sudden some smoke started pouring out of the back of the truck, or whatever, and I was just like, that's not good. Pulled over. The valley and everything is full of water, and I got real nervous, and I broke something that I didn't have. Apparently, just started the truck back up again to see where it's leaking out of. This lower heater core line right there is just let go and is just pouring fluid out. So I think I got one of those in the bag. Hopefully change this pretty quick. Worst case scenario, just lose the heater core and just loop it around. But yeah, so we're gonna get to that. Well, that's what we're dealing with right there. That'll definitely cause a leak. I don't have another one of these, unfortunately, so I'm just going to try and straighten it out as much as possible, cut that end off, and clamp it back down. Keep going. Missouri is king of LastPass, there was a Chevy Silverado 1500 that was flat towing a last generation Super Duty, which had a Chevy Malibu attached to the back of that. That Chevy was at the top of the hill with the hood up because he probably overdid it a little bit there. It's been interesting to see who can top who as far as this is a bad idea. Then again, I'm doing what I'm doing, so who am I to judge? So now I gotta start making decisions on how far I want to push this tonight. It's currently 7 hours away from where I wanted to be tonight, originally be Clearfield, Pennsylvania. And it's 7 o'clock, so that puts me there probably a little after 2, after I have to stop probably 1 or 2 more times for fuel. Positive side would be I got that much further and I don't want to be getting home super late tomorrow. I'd rather be home or shoot to be home earlier rather than later. Drawback is if I have another situation like I had earlier, blow another hose or something like that, I won't be able to catch it. I have to rely on the gauges, and at that point you pretty much, you don't want to see this thing overheating. It's going to be too late. So it's just after 7 a.m. on Sunday morning. Cold morning in Columbus, Ohio. Decided to stop off relatively early so that way I could get most of the driving done in the daylight. Didn't want to risk being on the side of the road in the middle of the night when it's as cold as it is outside. So, trying to make our way home today. We've got 660 miles left. It'll take about 9.5 hours if all goes well. And yeah, so everything's up to temperature. We're getting going. Hopefully luck's on our side today and get it back. Start making our way home here. So everything's good so far. Beautiful day. Let's keep it that way. Happy Easter. I'm in western Pennsylvania at this point. About 430 miles from home, about 6 hours from home, which is good. We're making progress. It's been a good day so far. Keep going, keep going with that. But yeah, we're going through. Pennsylvania is going to be the test of the cooling and all that because we do have some pretty good hills coming this way. It did start out. It had a similar mist to when the alternator went, like right when I got on the road. Decided I was just going to go for it, and that seemed to straighten itself out. And then my first rest stop, the transmission, somewhere between the transmission and the motor, something funny started happening, but checked all the fluids, everything looked good, so ran it. It's been running since. As I've driven it, the further and further I've gone, especially, like yesterday and today, where I've been driving for very long periods of time straight, where everything can really get, up to temp and really get the juices flowing. It seems to have calmed things down. I mean, when I first started driving, I was getting a decent whine out of the transfer case. That's pretty much completely gone away. The smoothness of the steering, it's really seemed to get a lot nicer. The truck's gotten a lot quieter. So, we're doing 70 miles an hour. We got a lot of stuff on the roof, so the wind noise is obviously, that's just comes with the territory of having a rooftop tent with sand ladders, a shovel, a high lift. What else is up there? There's 2 big fog lights. There's a hood tied down to the top of the rooftop tent. So there's a lot going on up there. It's just, even with that, you have a normal I'm talking to my wife half the time as I'm driving. We have a normal conversation. It seems to be getting better as we go along. All right, it's Sunday, 6 o'clock in the evening, and we are single-digit mileage from home, so I'm calling the win on this one. Truck has 273,074 miles on it currently. Since I picked it up, I've put 2,035 miles on it so far. I've spun the trip odometer twice on this thing. And yeah, it's still going. She's running. Provided the last hill up to the house doesn't kill it, we're gonna make it. Looks like, based on, obviously I haven't calculated this last tank into it, but it looks like we got about 15 miles to the gallon average for the trip. This would have been probably a pretty boring ride if you did it in the TRX, just because it just would have felt like a really long drive. But you know, sitting here, I was in complete silence the whole time because I'm constantly trying to pay attention to what the truck's trying to say to me. I don't want to miss it because I'm listening to like music or something like that. So yeah, just being able to appreciate the sights and drive around, and yeah, it was a really good time. It was a lot of fun just seeing the country and finding out that a 28-year-old 273,000 mile Discovery still has, you know, she's used, but she's not used up. She's got plenty of life left in her yet, so we'll clean it up and touch it up and hopefully have a lot more fun with this truck. So until next time, that's all I got for you. Fill it up one last time before I go home.